Welcome home. 101.9 FM, 94.1 FM, 99.1 HD3, newstalkstl.com. Our apps are up too on Android and on iPhone and also on the Alexa app. Okay. So if you're listening to us on any of those apps from the state of Washington in the 3rd District, make sure you vote for Heidi St. John, who joins us now. Heidi, thanks so much for being with us. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you bet. It's our pleasure. So, let's talk about the run here first. Your run for Congress. Tell us a little bit about where you're at and who you're up against and stuff like that, so we can help you out there.
Yeah, so I am running to represent Washington State's 3rd Congressional District. So basically Southwest Washington State. We border Oregon. So the district that I live in includes Vancouver, Washington, and it goes all the way almost to out into middle Washington and then again out to the ocean. So it's a fairly large district. And I'm running to replace Jamie Herrera Butler. She's been in office for 10 years. She is one of the 10 Republicans who voted to impeach President Trump. So the race here is very, very important.
It is. Not too many conservatives left out there, are there?
Well, actually, I live in a pretty conservative district. We're like a conservative pocket. It's interesting because I've grown up in this area, been here my whole life, and we have really been taken over by the big cities. We don't have an electoral college for the cities, right? So we've been taken over. So the state, actually, whatever happens in Seattle rules the entire state. Whatever happens in Portland, Oregon rules basically the entire state. But if you get out of the city, you find a whole lot of the conservatives who are very frustrated and even angry at what is happening. And I think we're going to see a move out here in the Pacific Northwest that is going to send shockwaves down the spine of the Democrats.
Love that. Love to hear that, because it's so unfair that if you're a liberal, you shout it from the mountaintops, right? Because you got all the media and everybody, Robert De Niro and all those clowns behind you. But you really sometimes don't want to say you're a conservative because people will hurt you sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's true. And out here, so we started doing freedom rallies. I did a freedom rally last night, a medical freedom rally up in Lewis County. And the night before that, I did my own rally in Vancouver. And we basically gave everybody about a day and a half, and 500 people showed up to a park. And I'm telling you, these guys are ready to go. And I think we're going to see, conservatives are not fighters by nature. They're just good people who want to have a good job, raise their kids to love the country and know how to make their bed in the morning. And while we've been, pursuing the American dream, these liberals, this radical left, these dangerous Democrats have been systematically dismantling this nation. Right. And I think that enough is enough. No conservatives caused any riots and, burning down buildings and businesses, right? That's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. And honestly, they know it now. Yeah. Right. And so you notice how quiet the Biden supporters are right now? Notice how no one's saying anything? Yeah. Amazing. It is amazing. So this medical freedom rally, I'm sure the topic of vaccines came up. And because here in St. Louis, our St. Louis County Council, which is 7 people, 4 Democrats, 3 Republicans, voted somehow 5-2 against to rescind the mask mandate. I'm happy that happened that way, but I was shocked to see that it happened. And Sam Page, our county executive, insists that it didn't happen, I guess, because he says the mandate's still in effect. But I guess my point is, I never want to appear to be anti-mask. You're going to so get this, Heidi. I don't want to appear anti-mask, but I always want to appear because I am pro-freedom and pro-liberty. Yes. Yeah, and that's what this is about. It's not about the vaccine. Listen, if you want to take an experimental gene therapy for a virus with a 99.9% survival rate, that's fine. That's your choice. It's the mandate that bothers people. It's the forcing. And here in Washington State, we are seeing an alarming rise in suicide. And I spoke to a Seattle firefighter the other day who said he's getting 3 to 4 calls a day. They're not for fires. They're for suicides. The depression here is skyrocketing. Our governor just put forth another indoor mask mandate. People are sick of it. It cripples the businesses. And honestly, this has to be about freedom. We have always had the ability to choose in this country whether or not we want to get an injection, whether or not we want to wear something over our face. And that needs to be the issue. And frankly, we're getting stymied now because so many people are filing medical and religious exemptions. What is happening around this nation, and particularly here in Washington State, is criminal. Is absolutely criminal. We are injuring our people. And when this whole thing is over, and I'm not even joking, I hope these people who are pushing this, the panic police and the panic pimps, I hope they go to prison, because this is wrong what is happening every single day. I get emails from people who are saying, please help me, please. My husband's going to lose his job. He was a firefighter for 25 years, never had a bad report. He loves firefighting. If he doesn't get the job by October 1st, he loses his pension.
Oh, my God.
What is going on? Yeah. This is wrong, and we need to sound the alarm. And frankly, I do not understand why our elected officials, both in the state houses and in the federal offices, on the floor of the House of Representatives and in the Senate, are not screaming and yelling about the mental pandemic, the mental health pandemic that is about to descend on this nation, because people are losing hope, and we cannot let that happen.
I love your passion, Heidi. I got to tell you. Love it.
Well, I love this country. I love this country. Listen, I've been raising 7 children. My oldest child is 30 years old. I have 3 grandkids now. I've been raising 7 children in this area for 32 years with my wonderful husband. And I have been watching with stunned disbelief what is happening to our country. And I think, like so many other ordinary citizens around the country, I just said, all right, that's it. I'm getting off the bench and onto the battlefield. And that's what needs to happen, because our nation is under attack. It's not going to be taken from without. It's going to be taken from within.
Right.
And we're cranking out by the hundreds of thousands every year, thank you to the indoctrination centers known as our public schools. We are cranking out kids who hate this country.
Yep.
And this is an emergency. It really is. I mean, I feel like I did a Facebook live video. I have a pretty large Facebook page. It has about 360,000 people that follow it. Over on Facebook, I did a Facebook live the other day called a state of emergency. And that's what this is. This country is in crisis right now. And certainly if we're not learning that from the press briefings, from the puppet in the White House right now, I don't know if we're going to learn it at all.
Exactly right. Abraham Lincoln, I think, said that about if the United States ever crumbles, it'll be from something within. Am I right? Didn't Abraham Lincoln say that?
Yeah.
Right.
And Reagan pointed it out over and over. Yeah.
Right. All right. So I don't want to run out of time here, because I want to talk about your book for sure. But you brought up a couple of things I want to talk about very briefly. So let's say a minute and a half answer for these 2 questions. Is that fair?
Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay. So I believe it was in Seattle. I could be wrong, but Antifa and Black Lives Matter protesters attacked the federal state house. I mean, the state house. Isn't that right?
I haven't heard about an event in Seattle.
Might have been Portland.
Oh, maybe it was Portland. I know you're kind of in between there. So it was Portland, and they attacked the state house. Why wasn't that some sort of state insurrection? Like, why did they get away with that, but everybody at the Capitol on January 6th were insurrectionists?
It's a very simple answer. The people that run the city of Portland and the feckless mayor of Portland is a Democrat. And the Democrats are dangerous, and we need to start labeling it that way. These people are not coming to the aid of their citizens. My son was in downtown Portland the other night. So my district borders Portland, Oregon. So my son was in Portland the other night for a gathering of church people. Antifa came down, tear gassed the people, tear gassed my son.
Wow! And
he called the police. And he called I think my son is 21 years old. He called the police, and the police said the best we can do is tell you should probably leave the area. Wow. I saw on Instagram a murder. I saw a person get shot in the head in downtown Portland. And so far, and we've got this guy in film. I've seen him. So far, no arrests have been made. They basically defunded and demoralized the police there. There is chaos in the city of Portland. Why isn't that on the news every night? Oh, I know, because the news is run by the dangerous Democrats. That's why.
That's awesome.
You got my vote, Heidi. I wish
She's answering your question.
Yeah, I wish I was in your district so I could vote for you. I absolutely love your passion. And you know when they're going to pay attention to it? When we start fighting back, because there's going to come a time when the Second Amendment is going to come roaring into the forefront when people start fighting back. All right. So my next thing I want to talk about is with the masks and with the vaccines and everything. I think there's a problem in this country with those moms that when their kid falls down and they freak out because the kid got dirt on his hands or dirt on his face. And, you know, I think kids don't just go out and eat dirt anymore and build up some sort of immunity to things like this.
Yeah, Yeah, well, and we've got people, I've been saying this for a long time, but the real pandemic in this country is not a virus with a 99.9% survival rate. The real pandemic in this country is a crisis of courage. And we're going to have to see, people are going to have to engage. I saw a picture the other day from my friend Matt Walsh from children at Wildwood Elementary School. I think it was in Minnesota. Have you guys seen this?
No.
They're practicing something called the zombie walk. You guys should look this up. It's criminal what is happening to our children. So if your children are in the public school, they're going to put a dirty face diaper on them that doesn't stop a virus, but guess what? It does trap bacteria.
Right.
So we're seeing rise in impetigo. We're seeing rise in staph infection. I talked to a dentist the other day who said that he's seeing more and more kids come in with dental problems because of the bacteria that's living on their teeth all day long. And you've got these kids in a line out in the hall in front of their classrooms, and they're teaching them the zombie walk. So these kids have masks on their faces, and now in order to keep them 6 feet apart, they're to put their arms out in front of them and walk like zombies. Tell me how that's okay. Tell me how it's okay that we're teaching our children to be afraid of the air that they breathe and of each other.
Yep.
This is wrong. And these woke parents who can't figure it out, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for parents like that. Because you give this thing 10 years and these kids are going to be a mess.
Yep. Not to mention, there's a certain amount of CO2 you're breathing in when you're wearing a mask, and that can't
Absolutely.
be good. Right.
No,
All right.
It's terrible.
Before we run out of time, I want to talk about your book, which is called Becoming Mom Strong, How to Fight with All That's in You for Your Family and Your Faith. Give us a quick synopsis of the book.
Yeah, so I wrote that book in 2017, and it's probably more important now than it was then. Basically trying to say this generation of mothers is going to have to figure out how to be warriors for their children, because our children are being attacked in the school system, absolutely, with indoctrination. And I believe that mothers play a very, very, and you just hit on it, a very, very important role. And the world and the culture has reduced motherhood to like a stopover on the highway of life. Here, give us your kids, said the school system, and we'll do it for you. My call is an urgent call to mothers to say, get back in the driver's seat of your child's life, in their education, in their upbringing, their emotional and spiritual upbringing, and you can do it, and your kids are worth fighting for. I don't know much, but I know about motherhood. I've raised 7 children. My youngest is 10 now. And I just want to tell these moms what you're doing is important. For the last 30 years, I've been raising my 7 children, and guess what? I have 7 patriots in my family.
All right.
Who love God and love this country. And that doesn't happen by accident. Moms need to get back involved. And motherhood is the greatest adventure on the face of the earth. And I just want moms to appreciate it and engage in it.
All right. You got 30 seconds. Tell us about the congressional run. How can people help? How can people donate and get you into that seat?
Thank you so much. We need all the help we can get. You can go to Heidi St John for Congress.com. You can donate. Anyone can donate to the campaign. The Democrats are throwing $10 million at this thing in order to switch that seat because it's held by a rhino right now. If that happens, Washington State's 3rd Congressional will be unrecognizable. Heidi St John for Congress.com. Please donate. We need all the help that we can get.
In the unlikely event that you don't win this election, please stay in the forefront, get on television, be guests on shows like this and on, places like Fox News and conservative outlets, because my God, people need to hear your infectious love for this country. I mean, we just need more people like you.
Thank you. Well, if anyone knows how I can get on Tucker Carlson, please hook me up. That's what I'd love to do.
I'll call Tucker and see what he says.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Yeah.
You guys gave me the window, and I just opened it. So thank you for that.
You bet. And anytime. And we'd like to have you on again because, even if it's not to talk about the election, if it's not to talk about your book, just to hear you talk about America and your patriot kids and your patriot self and everything about you. We just really love you. So thank you so much.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Heidi St John. She's running for the 3rd Congressional District in the state of Washington. And maybe there's more conservatives out there than we thought, Ken. Who knows?
I think there always are. They just can't talk about it all the time because like you guys were talking about, they could get hurt.
How fair is that?
It's not fair.
Yep.